Hey everybody, Anish Majumdar here, career coach to the fiercely ambitious, and I want to give you guys a baseline here of what to do when you are at that situation, and I've been there. I know many of you out there have been there yourself, where you're at a company and you're asking that question that all right, every employer would rather you shouldn't ask yourself, and I hope you're asking all the time, which is, hey, is it time to double down here? Is it time for me to think about spending the next 3 to 5 years here or longer? Or is it time for me to just quit and bail and make my fortune somewhere else? It's a hard question, and I'm not here to tell you that there's any one answer to that. For sure, there have been times, and I'm just going to dig into my history here, but there have been so many jobs I've held, especially in my early 20s, where I could tell it was my fault because I went into it with the wrong intentions, or not really knowing what the job was about, but I could tell within 10 minutes, oh God, oh, what have I walked into? Some of the first jobs I've had were horrendous. Telemarketing jobs. I had a job as a parking valet. By the way, here's a tip. Please do not try to get a job as parking valet, parking cars, if you don't know how to drive stick. I don't know how to drive stick. I thought a quick search on the internet would help me do that. It did not. So my first day of work as a valet, I show up there. The guy says, "Here, Nish," boop, tosses me the keys, "Park that one." And I go in, oh God, sports car. Oh God, I open the door. Oh God, it's a manual. I go in there, I sit there, all my internet knowledge goes flying out the window. I try it once, the car shuts down. I try it twice, the car shuts down. The third time, I literally looked out the window, saw that my boss was out there, he had his back turned, I got out, casually dropped the keys on the hood of the car, and ran my tail between my legs out the door. So please know that I don't mean an utterly disastrous job. Of course, if you're in a really bad situation with a job, you got to get out of there, right? But what if you're not? What if things are relatively okay, or you're making relatively decent money, right? Then it becomes harder to figure out. So, I want to give you 3 questions that, if you take the time to honestly ask yourself, should give you the clarity that you need to figure out whether you should stay or whether you should go. The first one is this: am I being challenged consistently? Generally speaking, and I don't want to make a broad strokes thing here, but in general, if a company is not growing at a certain rate, usually around 20% or higher year over year, chances are very, very slim that you yourself are being continuously exposed to a new set of challenges and skills. And keep in mind, that's the real goal of any job that you have. You've got to leave a job in better shape than when you started. Not only that, you've got to leave it with a broader skill set and more value to offer. Otherwise, you're going to run into problems. There is nothing worse than being in an interview and the person opposite you saying, "All right, so what have you been up to in the last year?" And all you've got to tell them is, "Yeah, what you can find in a typical job description for my role, that's all I did." That's really, really rough. That is a very weak bargaining position to be in, okay? So, how quickly is your company growing? And more importantly, am I being challenged? Take a look at everything you were tasked with this year and make a comparison with what you were doing last year and see what's new. Do it for 2 years and 3 years. Take a look and see, are you consistently being pushed out of your comfort zone? Are you consistently in a situation where you're just like, whoa, this is a new application of what I'm about and what I can do. I'm not really sure that this is a positive. I'm not really sure that this is going to be a win. That is a sign that you're on the right track, because you really need that. You've got to have that sense of some part of things every year being new, some part of things really giving you something new. If not, that's a big, big reason to think about lighting out for greener pastures, because if that's not there, it's hurting you now, but it's also going to hurt you long term in terms of the growth trajectory kind of flattening out like that. Employers hate seeing this. So something to think about there. Question number 2. Am I on an internal growth path? In other words, this one's simple, okay? I don't care whether you're, just starting out, whether you're a manager, director, VP, whatever it is. Is there a path within your company to grow? Is there a rationale for saying, if I do well at this level, next year or within some kind of set period, I'm going to be up for a promotion. I'm going to be moving into this. What's my role going to be at this company beyond this one position? If that is not there, what I would strongly recommend is take some time, get together with your, boss and have that conversation. Talk about where you want to go. What's the ultimate impact you want to make? Talk about where you see yourself at that company and how you want to spread yourself out and contribute in a higher way, and see what they say. Hold them accountable. Ask them, what are the next steps? Can you put me on some kind of a time frame? What should I be learning and doing on my front? Because I know it's not just about you promoting me. I know that I've got to do my part here. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to hustle and work my butt off to make that happen. But I need some direction and I need a path. Something that has to be mutually agreed upon, where we all understand we're moving towards this. We're moving towards X role. And if they won't give you that, or they can't, like sometimes a company is just in such chaos that they have no idea. They're just like, you're great where you are, stay there. That is a killer long-term for your career, okay? So really ask yourself, am I on an internal growth path here? And if you're not, that's okay. Have that conversation, have several of those conversations, keep checking in and get on a growth plan. And then if not, it's not happening after you honestly done your best and did everything possible, yes, that is a reason to possibly start looking elsewhere. Finally, and I really want to emphasize that I truly think this last question is as important as the other two. Am I healthy? Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, okay? But I would honestly ask myself, in the years that I've been with this company, am I mentally stronger than I was? Am I more resilient than I was? Am I less stressed, or what is my stress level now versus when I started? My ego, my sense of self, my sense of internal strength, have they grown or have they been hampered? Chances are you have an idea of what that answer is. And if you're in a culture that is positive, you're in a culture that supports, that is a huge, huge thing. That is a priceless thing. That is a wonderful gift. But there are also cultures out there, come on, guys, women, you know what I'm talking about, all right? There are toxic people out there. There are companies that will suck the lifeblood out of you. There are companies that will take advantage of you. There are companies that will ride roughshod over you, whether you're doing brilliant work or not. There are companies that will destroy you if you let them. I know because I work with people who have been at those companies. I see the hit that their egos take. I see the effect that that kind of toxic environment has not just on themselves, but on their families. Because you come home from work, you don't leave it at work. You bring it home. Your kids feel that. Your wife or your husband feels that. That trail of negativity and verbal abuse follows you wherever you go. So if that's the case, you really, really need to think about leaving. If it's truly a toxic environment, you really need to leave. And if you're not sure, that's the question to ask yourself. Am I healthy? Am I well? Am I myself today? And am I more myself, or have I been getting beaten down every single day? So those are the three questions that I really recommend you ask. If you're thinking about whether you need to quit a role or double down, the three questions again, one last time. Am I being challenged consistently at this company? If the company's not growing past a certain amount, probably not. Question number 2, am I on an internal growth path? Is there a way forward for me at this company beyond just the role that I'm in? And number 3, and I truly, truly believe that this is equally as important as any of the others, am I healthy? Am I well? Am I doing good? Am I emotionally, spiritually more myself and stronger in myself since I started at this company, or weaker? And if it's weaker, you gotta get out. You gotta get out. So I challenge you to ask yourself those questions. I challenge you to be real honest about writing down those answers and do it on paper so that you can actually see it. Verbal is one thing, but when you actually see it, it has a whole other level of impact. And now I want to ask you guys out there, have you recently faced a situation like this where you're asking yourself, should I stay or should I go? And if you were faced with that, what ultimately swayed you? You know, did you ask yourself any of these questions? Did you ask yourself other questions? Who did you consult? What made you go one way or the other? And what would you do differently and what would you do the same? I would really, really love to know what you think about that. Really, that would really mean a lot. So if you've got something, all right, shoot me a comment. You know, I read all that stuff all the time. I love hearing from you guys. So please do that. I hope that this has been helpful to you. I will talk to you guys very soon. And thank you so much for learning along with me and being a part of my world. And I hope that I can be a bit of a positive impact on your world as well. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon. If you like that video, I encourage you to hit subscribe to get other expert tips and strategies that will take your career further.